Hi and welcome to English. This is Dave Bronson. I have been teaching 8th grade English now for the Wachusett District for 18 years. I'd like to welcome you to my classroom. I guess I'm going to divide this speech up into a couple different ways. I'd like to talk about writing and what we do with writing, and reading and how we deal with reading. I'm going to show you parts of my website and how that works. But before then, you should know that I live in town. I have a son in his senior year at Wachusett this year, and a daughter that's a freshman there as well. Both of my kids are finally through middle school, which is crazy. And I guess that's that. I'll give you a quick overview of this class. I guess the first thing that I'd like to take you through is independent reading. Independent reading plays a large role in my class. We do a lot of it. We devote every Friday to readings. I have a pretty large library over here of books that kids can choose from, but they don't have to choose my books. They're always welcome to choose books from home to read. I'll take a second and I'll show you my website and how that's managed. Okay, so this is my website. I'm going to go over that a little bit more later. For this part, I just wanted to show you about how we do independent reading. First thing I want to show you is the in-class library. All of my books are logged in to this in-class library site, and you can search them by category. So if we just wanted to see all the sports books, I can spell correctly. And every book in my library comes up under sports, and you can actually get really specific there. Like if you wanted to do basketball, I could click basketball, and all the books about basketball come out there. So students then can sign those books out, and I have all of their names logged in there, so I know where my books are, etc., etc. Once a kid has a book, they fill out their independent reading contract. This is right here. And in the contract, they specify, let's see if I can get there really quick. They end up specifying how many pages they are reading. The minimal there is 50. It's a lot for some kids. If your child has a problem with trying to read 50 pages a week, they can come and talk to me, and I can lower that for them. That's kind of between me and them, but in general, it's 50 pages a week. Kids are doing pretty good with that right now. They're not graded on that first quarter, on making their goal or not. They're only graded on bringing their book every Friday for our reading days on Friday. They bring it, they're prepared, they get an A on that. We will be moving into grading or some reward system for making their page goal or not. Still, I haven't decided whether it's going to be graded or not. And then every Friday we spend half the day reading and then half the day working on these independent reading projects. They have over 20, I think there's like 27 of these that they can choose from. They can only do one once, but they're there to kind of dig into how well they're reading their book. So for example, if they choose map, they have to create a map of the layout of the land of their book. And they work on that on Friday. When they're done, they turn it in, they get credit for that. And again, there's all sorts of a variety here of things that they can choose for those independent reading projects. And that's how we deal with independent reading in my class. Next, I'd like to show you the grading weights and how that's controlled in my class. My grading is, there are about 5 different categories. I have lower level, which is classwork. Those are kind of the standard base weight. They're worth essentially 1 in my class. Also included in that would be their weekly reading grade. And then we move up to there for like quiz level grades, rough drafts that are completed on time, probably next level. And then finally at the top level, a final writing grade. Anything that is a final writing grade has a process in my class. So there'll be rough drafts, we'll spend time in class on that, they'll spend time at home on that, they'll bring that in for editing, they'll have me check it out, then they'll have other students go through their work,
And then finally, when they're done with the whole editing process, they'll turn in a final piece of writing, and that's given the highest point grade in my book. Every unit that I teach generally has some sort of final writing grade associated with it. We just did the memoirs, and that final memoir was their piece, and then we're in historical fiction now. They'll be writing a historical fiction story based on someone's life in Rutland in the 1700s, and that will be their final writing piece for that. So it's kind of like the cornerstone grades of each class.
So every day that isn't a reading day, we start our class by having a writing prompt. Those writing prompts I try to be really creative with. They are never graded. They're a time for them to kind of push into some new type of writing without kind of fearing the consequence of doing a bad job. I'm really strict about them writing for the whole time. It's 10 minutes every class, so it's a long time spent writing. But I think it's important for kids to have a space where they can experiment with their writing and not face consequences if it's like not the best. So these are kind of example of some of the writing prompts we do. We worked on making sentences more descriptive, and sometimes they can be personal. Like this one's about writing a time that they had to be brave. Also, there's a place for public writing here. If a student wants to actually write publicly and have their initials on it. I never demand that a kid reads anything that they write publicly, but I do take volunteers to read their writing prompts at the end. So each unit that we deal with in class has two components. It has a Google Classroom component, and on the Google Classrooms, we'll just do this one, all of my assignments will be. So all of the worksheets, everything that we do in class, even if I hand it out on paper, if a student still wants that electronically, I'll put it there. And also all of the information, all of the notes, all of the resources, that part is on my website. So every unit has a corresponding informational piece with instructions and resources. Also, every unit that I have these assignments called climbing hires. I don't give extra credit. Instead, I give these assignments that are real credit. And there are two big reasons why you should take on a climbing hire, or why your children should take on climbing hires. One is if they want to solidify a grade, or if they want to bring up their grade. And then two, and this is my favorite one, if they just kind of love what we're doing and they want more of it. And although it doesn't seem like that would be true, sometimes kids do choose it like that, and I love that. So for this unit, this was the memoir unit that we just finished. There was one climbing hire available. It isn't hard, but if they wanted to record their voice reading their memoir and then allow me to publish that on my website, as long as it wasn't too private, then they would get an additional points to that. So it's kind of like an extension of the project that we do. The historical fiction unit that we're working on right now has two climbing hires available. One is to read a corresponding novel and write an essay at the end of it. That would be done on their own time, and they would compare the essay to what we've gone over in class as far as the way Rutland was historically. And the second one is to go out and find some old stuff in Rutland, like an old foundation, and tell me what used to be there. Snap some pictures of it. I call that the Explorer climbing hire. And both of those would be worth points in my class. I think that's it. Let me see. Oh, every website has a rationale. If you are interested in this, God bless you. This is how this unit connects to all the Massachusetts state frameworks. For this one, I think if I click on this, then it gives you an explanation. Yeah, it gives you an explanation of how it connects. I obviously had a lot of time at one point to do this. But every unit does have a rationale, then resources, and then specifics that we're going to go over, old worksheets, etc. So two things that we use in my class. We use the Google Classroom for specific assignments, and then my website has tons and tons and tons. We actually use my website all the time, every day, for writing prompts.
To end, I guess I just want to say thank you for giving me an almost normal year this year. We do a lot of group work in my class, and we're working pretty well with that with our masks on. The last couple of years have been kind of crazy. I understand that academics might seem a lot stronger this year than they have been in the past. It's it's been a couple years where we've had to really mitigate problems with COVID. I'm trying hard to get back to normal in my class, and that might mean more of a class load than these kids are used to, but they're doing pretty well so far. They're really stepping up to the plate, and obviously I'm going to be as merciful as I can with that and trying to encourage them and take on the workload that's expected of them in school. But I think things are going pretty well so far. I hope your kids have had a good experience so far. I know it's just the beginning, but I hope that things go well. Thanks for listening. Have a nice rest of your day.